In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the drag link on this Ford E-350. This is what connects your pitman arm to the passenger side sleeve or outer tie rod. You need an alignment after this repair is performed. Let's get started. I already sprayed this down with some rust penetrant to hopefully help with the rust. Regardless, remove the cotter pin. I'm going to use some cutters to try to get it out of here. Cutters help you grab onto it to remove it. You don't want to reuse this, so discard it at this point. We're going to install a new one. Now use a 21mm socket and remove this mounting nut. I'm going to put the nut back just a few turns. That way it'll hold this on, and I can also use this as a flat surface to hammer on. Hopefully the impact of the hammer going this way will want to break this stud free from the drag link. Use a large hammer, give it a few taps. That popped off, so now remove the mounting nut. Sometimes it gets stuck, so you'll have to put your tool back on here and break it free. On the pitman arm end, let's remove the cotter pin, straighten it out. Grab it with some cutters and pull it off. Discard it, you don't want to reuse cotter pins. If your application has this cover, remove it. Use a 21mm socket and loosen up this mounting nut. With the mounting nut removed, I'm actually going to put it back a couple threads so that when we separate this, it doesn't come flying off. The nut will support it, and we can take it off when we're ready to. Having said that, grab a large hammer, tap right here, and that should separate the stud from the pitman arm. There it goes. Remove the mounting nut and pull this down. We have to loosen up this sleeve with the two clamps that lock in the outer tie rod on the passenger side with the drag link. I'm going to spray this down with some rust penetrant. It is quite rusty and I want it to turn a little bit easier. Use a 15mm socket and loosen up these two mounting nuts holding the clamps on the sleeve. You don't have to hold the top. They are caged bolts, which means they have a cutout that holds itself on. Okay, that's all. You don't need to remove these, just loosen them up. And at this point, there's going to be a split right on the back side. A little bit hard to see. It's actually right here for me. Now for you, it may be in any other position, depending on how the alignment was last done. So what I want to do is stick a pry bar right in here. I'm going to tap it in with a hammer. This will spread this open. Then I can turn it, release pressure off of it, and then we can remove the drag link. Well, it's spinning, although not easily. Okay, so we can see the split now. At this point, it may be necessary to use some large pliers or a pipe wrench in order to unthread this while you hold the sleeve. Sometimes these are so rusted that they're, well, very seized in place. Keep in mind, this drag link is also reverse threaded, so you're going to have to turn clockwise to loosen this as opposed to counterclockwise. So make sure you don't go the wrong way. Let's try some large pliers. Perfect. Looks like it's able to break free and turn. Now you want to count the amount of turns it takes to remove this so that when we put it back, we put it on the same amount of turns that'll get us close to a decent alignment. Now, of course, you still need to get an alignment done after this job is performed, but this will get you close so that at least your wheels aren't dragging in different directions on the road while you go get an alignment. All right, that's 33 turns for me. Of course, it's going to be different for you. Regardless, there's the drag link. Inspect the threads on the sleeve. This one is a little bit rusty, but it still looks okay, totally reusable. So what I'm going to do now is apply a little bit of grease or anti-seize to these threads. This will prevent rust from building up in the future, and it'll allow the alignment professional to do their job a lot easier. If these can spin around freely after they loosen up the clamps, well, that would make it a lot quicker and easier to align. I also applied grease to the end of the threads on the drag link itself. It doesn't need to be perfectly coated. It'll kind of work its way through there as you thread it on. So let's thread it on. When you put this back together, once again, keep in mind it's reverse threaded, so go to the left to tighten it and put it back the same amount of turns it took to remove it so you can get close to a good alignment. Okay, that's it right there. Remove your pry bar. Before we tighten these sleeves, let's reassemble the rest of the drag link so that we can make sure neither of the ends are at a severe angle, because if you tighten these clamps and nothing lines up, all of the joints are going to be under pressure at all times. Put the drag link back in the pitman arm and start on the mounting nut. Thread this on all the way. Tighten it up. This new mounting nut is a 22 millimeter. The torque for this is going to be 66 foot-pounds. That's torqued right there. However, this being a castle nut, we have to make sure that the slots line up so we can put in a cotter pin. If they don't, you're going to want to keep tightening. If you have a regular locking nut, then you're done. But for me, once again, I have to keep tightening. You never want to loosen these to get the next slot to line up. That's it right there. Take your cotter pin, slide it through, and bend it over to lock it in. You want to make sure it's out of the way of this radiator hose. You do not want it poking it at all. And if you leave a little bit of slack in it, that's actually better, because if it can move around, it's less likely to seize up. Reinstall the driver's side inner tie rod into the drag link. There we go. Put the mounting nut on. Let's bottom this out and then torque it to 66 foot-pounds. That's torqued, but this being a castle nut, we have to make sure the slots line up. For me, they actually happen to line up perfectly. For you, if they don't, continue tightening until you get to the next slot so you can line it up. Never loosen these. Stick your cotter pin in, bend it over to lock it in. Make sure it's not going to poke the radiator hose in any way as this moves left and right. And of course, make sure it's locked in. If you leave this a little bit loose like this and has some wiggle room, it's a lot less likely to seize up. Just a little tip for you. Making sure both ends of this assembly, such as the outer tie rod and the other end of the drag link, are parallel to where they mount, not at an angle, we can now tighten these clamps. The rest of this adjustment will be up to your alignment professional. Use a 15 millimeter socket, snug these up. The torque for these is 41 foot-pounds. That's it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.